Liquid and Suning battling it out towards the bottom of the table here. It's going to be Bunnyhoppor and Brox, two of the bigger names for me of this tournament. I know that Brox isn't necessarily a huge name to many of you, but keep an eye out for this player. He has been doing well in Masters Tours events and just has looked very solid and comfortable overall in this tournament. I've really liked his attitude. I like the way that when things go badly, he just laughs it off, but he doesn't like tilt. He just gets back on the horse and carries on with it. But he's going to have his work cut out here again today against Bunnyhoppor, the absolute grinder. And I think it's something I've stated a lot, but is generally understated about Bunnyhoppor's style, is that it is very hard to play an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours in the case of XHX without making many mistakes, and Bunnyhoppor forces you to do that with his slower style. But that's not the only thing about Bunnyhoppor. I mean, he is just one of the very best players in the world, if not the best. There's no weaknesses in his game. Like most players, you can say they do this or they do that, and they're fantastic, but... And you find a little weakness. Yeah, they're tiny weaknesses, but with Bunnyhoppor, there just isn't one. You rate him out of 5 in a million categories, and he doesn't get lower than 4 in any of them, you know? He's just superb, and that makes him a fantastic player, and maybe slightly overlooked at times because of the unassuming way in which he gathers together wins and skill and decks and such like. Well, here we are going to have a look at the lineups. Liquid did bring the Demon Hunter, the contentious point of the week, but I think it was correct. It's been banned in nearly every matchup it was brought. That makes it correct nearly always. Warrior, Warlock and Rogue rounding out his lineup. Brox did not bring the Demon Hunter. This was the week that Twin Slice was nerfed, and players just didn't feel they had enough time to get a deck together, I think. So I think we saw 4 or 5 teams not bring it, and then 3 or 4 teams did bring it. He has the Warrior banned out. He's got Druid and his own Warlock and his own Rogue. So the differences are the Warrior and the Druid, and I know which part of that equation I would normally like. And with Rogue in the lineup, you particularly want the Warrior. Although with the Warlock in the lineup, the Druid can just sometimes win games. And that is the game we have here as the first game of this match. But Brox, not having got the ideal Druid mega start, he's wondering here whether to coin out the Overgrowth. And I think he might as well. His hand's filling up. He could just waste a Crystal Power or something as well if he wants to Overgrowth next turn, and then the turn after he has Mount Cellar with coin and all sorts of stuff. It's definitely worth a think. If he coins Overgrowth, he is committed to playing Glowfly Swarm the turn after, and it's actually quite a lot slower for him. So he is just going to make a 3-2 here, just to dump a card. And I like this a lot. The more and more I look at it, my instinct was that it was wrong, but yeah, this is good. Mount Cellar being the way to victory. Get there before your opponent gets their Twisting Nether, and you're usually good to go. Whereas the Glowflies, they do a job. They distract the Warlock. You can sometimes get them down earlier than they can Netherwing, which can be a very good thing for the Druid to either win the game or get a lot of damage in. But yeah, Brox is going to have a super turn on the 7 mana turn now because of what he's just done. And it will still be in time to beat a Twisting Nether, looking very good for him. Bunnyhoppor, the perennial question of how to play your Questing Explorer. Does he need to deal with this? There was the option to double a Mortal Coil, for instance, here. It's the paradox of this deck. Hand size management is a thing. But also you want to keep your hand up at the same time as making sure there's space for new arrivals. But yeah, this looked fairly straightforward, but both players settling in to what could be a longish match, although you'd think that the Druid and the Warrior would sort things out pretty quickly. But if we get into warlocks and rogues taking each other on and mirror matches, we could end up with a fairly long one here. Never discount that option when Bunnyhoppor's in the room. So Brox continuing his play from last turn. And setting his stall out very early to go the route that XHX went, which was to out Bunnyhoppor Bunnyhoppor. There's a bit of a meme phrase that I used at the time, but it sums it up pretty well, I think. If your opponent's going to sort of grind you down, one thing you can do is give it back to them and make it take twice as long. Brox is a relatively slow and considered player anyway. I think the way his mindset works involves resetting every turn mentally. And we're seeing that from him here. Oh, Bunnyhoppor on 10 cards again. It's one of the weird things when a reactive deck doesn't have anything to react to. That's when games can get interesting. You have to work out exactly how you're going to keep your hand empty enough. Bunnyhoppor needs to dump a card here. If he wins this, there's a chance he'll go through nearly every card in his deck, and he's going to need some of the big stuff. So burning a plot twist, well, not burning a plot twist, you'd need that early anyway, but burning a late game card could be crucial. Malygos for instance, but there'll be others. So with that in mind, we do see Bunnyhoppor just plop a Zephyrus onto the board. It's actually quite a good way of challenging some things. It's not ideal by any means. I certainly wouldn't have instinctively been drawn there. But here's the turn that Brox set up on turn 3 when he played his Power of the Wild. He's going to be able to do a cornucopia of great stuff here. And should end up with a pretty unassailable board at the end of it. I'm going to flick up to Bunnyhoppor's hand already. He does have a Dark Skies. Just worth pointing out at this point that, and Brox does have a decent chance of getting rushed still, but the 3 attack from the Zephyrus could end up being crucial here in getting Brox down to only 10 health to have a Dark Skies clear up. And don't forget there is Mortal Coil in hand as well for Bunny, so looking like his previous turn combined with Brox's pretty low rolls here may end up in his favour. Let's have a look. There's 11 health on board after Bunnyhoppor trades in the 2 minions to the 3/5. So a Mortal Coil and Dark Skies would get that done. It's always the first look. Bunnyhoppor's not taking much damage, so he won't really want to be nether breathing that. Gonna get more information first, why not? And it's twisting nether, which is a big deal. And clearing this board up is also a big deal. Those Mount Seller rolls, not really that good, but it all came about from Bunnyhoppor playing the Zephyrus. Just partially to keep his hand empty, but putting more attack on board. Noting the interaction with Dark Skies, Zephyrus basically just adds 3 more damage to that equation. And Bunnyhoppor now in a pretty good spot. Well, with no soul in hand, I feel like Brox here needs to Glowflies and Power the Wild and hope it sticks. If it does stick, he should win next turn. I don't think he's got time. But then I know about the Twisting Nether, I guess. Twisting Nether's less likely than Netherwings. I guess he has to wait. So if he has to wait, Does he have to overflow? Looks like he's going to. Because of powering his own face just to make space for the extra cards. And yeah, relying on getting the Bog Beam, but it was very likely. And once again, going to get a Mount Seller turn out of it. Yeah, the player I was instinctively drawn to just gets Nether Winged out of sight, so he has to go for this. And the Nasira would obviously be a way to get a third board after the first two have been dealt with, and that should be difficult. Bunnyhoppor slowly but surely getting towards the quest the slow way. Getting harder and harder to dump these cards. I wonder if we'll see a Nether Breath to the face here. I doubt it very much. But just described a minute ago why the Nether Wings are so good. They basically counter the Glowflies, and later on Glowfly Soul of the Forest with 10 mana, which Bunnyhopper's getting very close to. He would be able to counter that with 2 Nether Wings. And the more I look at this, the more I do wonder if he'll just Nether Breath face. Which is such an awful looking turn. So I assume he'll end up jamming a Nether Wing. Okay, he jams the 4/6. Yeah, that's the most useless card in hand. As always, Bunnyhoppor gets it right. It also adds 6 health to the board. It's a lot of health that's gone in the long run, but because Bunnyhoppor is likely to... If he gets hit, he probably dies. Because he probably gets hit by an absolute force of nonsense. So, giving up the ability to heal for 4, 2 or 3 times sounds bad, but actually probably doesn't have a gigantic a gigantic impact on the game. Do like this considered approach from Brox. Suspect it means I'm going to have a very long day, but other than that, he has not had the best of rolls for the Mount Seller. I'm not sure it's made a huge difference. Maybe on the first one it did allow Bunnyhoppor that easy clear. But Bunny has set up pretty well for it. But this one's just not good. Bunnyhoppor might not even need to burn his nether here, which is what I was expecting him to have to do. Numbers don't quite work out tidily for a nether wing. Let's see how else he can do. He doesn't have to kill every single thing, of course. He can trade into the Mount Seller and Nether Breath it, for instance. And then maybe just make his own massive minion. What else can he do? See, Netherwing just doesn't add up numbers wise. I don't think he'll want to Soulfire. His hand is too solid for that. Could he Twisting Nether? I don't think the board feels like it merits a Nether. Curious to see what he goes with here. I'm going for Summoner. I was going to go for this. I guess it makes space for him. Can see he's not overly sure about that turn. But this is fine. It makes space, but it has used up the Netherwing, which could be a big deal later. The main big deal is that Brox has seen a Netherwing, and he can use that to play Glowfly Swarm and Soul of the Forest later in the game. Assuming that there is a Soul of the Forest in his deck. Let me just check that. You'll hear some clicking, I'm sorry. I think the builds from the teams in this tournament have been so similar that I very rarely actually check. Yeah, there's 2 Soul of the Forest. I very rarely check the Druid lineups. I tend to check pretty much everything else. But the Druid deck has been so stationary. I'll look to see if there's like an Emerald Explorer, because it's a totally different deck. But other than that, I think I know these decks pretty well at this point. As likely do you if you sat here through even just the Team Liquid videos, let alone the whole lot. So this is what Brox got from last turn. Obviously, another Netherwing will clear this lot up, which is interesting, but had he run out of time? Maybe he had. I think he knows that if Bunnyhopper's willing to use a Netherwing last turn, he's going to be able to use another one. Because he didn't have to clear up the bits and pieces, the owl and so on last turn. It wasn't required. So Brox is probably expecting this. But he'd run out of pressure, and one thing you can't do against this Warlock is run out of pressure, because then they just play their Abyssal Summoner and hit you in the face twice with a 9/9, and all the combo talk and all that mumbo jumbo just goes out the window as you just get beaten down horribly, and that's the end of that. As you can see now, Brox not having anything to do last turn apart from the Glowflies means that next turn he's going to be in a tough spot. Bunnyhoppor currently has lethal. 10 on the board, plus 9 from Malygos Soulfire. It's one of those situations where it'll... I was going to say where it will never happen. Yeah, he's got a Moonfire Brox, so that will never happen. But it is getting to the point where Bunnyhoppor can just win at any point. And with 8 cards left in deck, Brox knows that. Obviously the Zephyris did its job, basically won the game without actually finding a card, which is an unusual use for Bunnyhoppor. But Brox has run out of threats. Ysera being in the bottom few cards, unless it was burned early and I missed it, but I think it's turned up in the bottom few cards, is making this now unplayable for Brox. Part of me thinks he has to overflow here. Moonfire first and overflow just to try and draw it. And if you burn stuff, you burn stuff. He's going for the more sensible, considered approach. Oh, is he going to set up all the Naught mana cards in case he draws? Yeah, here we go. Next turn's going to be pretty nutty. So if he gets Ysera, he can then cycle through loads of cards with the excess mana card and try and get a load of dragons that way. It's the reason I like Brox. I mean, this is not an overwhelmingly complicated play, but he gets all these nuanced bits right continuously. He's very well practiced. Also looks like he's been deserted in the Sooning office at who knows what time of night there. Just looking around that office. That looks like a gaming office if ever I saw one, even if you forget the gaming equipment. Just random things everywhere. I love it. Looks like there's a massive Sooning logo on the floor as well. What a nice room. So, is there a Hearthstone game going on? Okay, should look at that, I guess. Bunnyhoppor going through the motions of just setting up good things here. Has lethal next turn, obviously if the Malygos sticks, and how does a Druid that is obviously struggling deal with a Malygos? Don't think it does. So it's time to start cycling towards the Ysera that he failed to draw. I think we're going to see him play Glowfly Swarm, Soul of the Forest here at the end of this turn, on the understanding that he knows he's dead, because he has no other win condition. If Bunnyhopper's last 6 cards of his deck are all not Soulfire, or are all Soulfire and Rain of Fire, maybe he gets it done. That doesn't seem to work ever though. But yeah, I understand what he's going for here. This is the most desperate play in the history of Hearthstone. He knows he's dead, but maybe this wins in some exceptional circumstances. If he doesn't die, it wins, put it that way. As Bunnyhoppor completes the quest, I think the plot twists are both in the bottom 6 cards. Oh no, there's one just drawn, both in the bottom 7. And to no surprise at all for Brox, Bunnyhoppor takes a 1-0 lead. It's last hero standing, as I always say at this point, so Brox has a choice between the mirror or the rogue. And he goes for the mirror, which is a little bit interesting to me. That warrior is going to be such a problem for Brox with these 2 decks left. And I think personally, I would rather have the warlock left against the warrior than the rogue. But anyway, he's going to go for this mirror match. And this is usually just about tempo, and I say that as if that's a trivial thing. It's not. Going back to the last game where Bunnyhoppor played the Zephyrus on turn 3 or 4, maybe 5, with no activation. You know, things like that can swing the mirror, but also knowing that you've got it under control and that you can afford to go for value is also a big thing. So what I'm saying is everything matters. But you will find that in general, the person who plays the first big Abyssal Summoner is in a fantastic position. The opponent has to deal with it, and it tends to use resources. Both players have drawn their plot twists, so no excuses on that front, at least later in the game. And obviously, the start of the game, a little bit tedious as both players develop their hands. Trying to fill up to... Again, trying to fill up to 10 as quickly as possible, and then we'll see them spend the whole game lightly try and keep that number more like at 8, so that they can tap and draw a card every turn. So the paradox of trying to get a big hand and then trying to dump it, once again, will be in full view. But get all your tools together, complete your quest fast with plot twist. Many, many good reasons for getting every card out of your deck. And Bunnyhoppor next turn will begin actually doing things. He will have 10 cards. One of the things that gets interesting in this mirror is watching which cards players choose to dump. Now Brox is already kind of in that position because he has both Abyssals in hand. He's seriously considering playing an Abyssal on 6, Abyssal on 7 and delaying the plot twist at this point. And with that in mind, yeah, he's seriously considering playing this Moab, which you would think was an important tool to have. But if he doesn't play it, then next turn he's not going to be able to tap, or he's going to have to play something to tap. And what he can do now if he wants to is next turn play the other Moab and tap as well. But more importantly, he can now get to turn 6 and just dump Abyssals. And this tells Bunnyhoppor that... it might tell Bunnyhoppor there's no plot twist, which is incorrect. But it tells Bunnyhoppor that something is afoot, and that Brox is okay with where he's at. Now Bunny in the same spot. Maybe we'll see him also play Moab. He's got the coin as well now, so he wants to coin Abyssal next turn. And we're going to have these massive demons potentially just facing off against each other. There is a difference. Brox does have the Dark Skies where Bunnyhoppor does not. That could end up mattering on a board clear if somebody plays something big that needs removing. Bunny goes for the twist, rating getting the 0 mana cards above all else. Obviously, I talked about how to make tempo at the start of the game. Well, 0 mana 8/8s and such like are good tempos, strangely enough. You get to kill your opponent's board and then just drop your 0 mana thing at the end of the turn. Right, last turn before things really kick off, and Brox is actually going to get rid of all his stuff too. One of the advantages of playing the Moag for later is gets nearer to activating Annex and Zephrys by removing that from the deck. And yeah, with the hands being so big, they both expected to draw extra Abyssals, and they both did so. Worth noting that Bunnyhoppor now has, I believe... Oh no, he played the coin. I was going to say he now has a coin in his deck, but he did get rid of it first. Actually important. Drawing a coin for 0 mana is not the best draw. Strangely enough. But has slowed Bunnyhoppor down a bit. Both players on huge amounts of quest completion rate here. Expect them both to be completed extremely soon, obviously. Brox probably next turn. And now the game will begin. I mean, the game has already begun. There's been a lot of thought going into these turns, weirdly enough, at least from turn 3 onwards. Bunnyhoppor trying to empty his hand, and how's that going for you? I think we'll see him play this and then burn one of the 1 mana spells, probably the Mortal Coil. Is the Mortal Coil actually doing that much? Just stick it on the Moag. Worth a note as well that Suning are playing this Hellfire version. We've seen a few teams play this now in this league. Bunnyhoppor actually decides he wants to get the value. Okay. Sort of dump some cards and get the value. Why wouldn't you do that, I guess? Yeah, but this Hellfire is quite a big deal. Allowing just that extra little bit of reach in some matchups, and also sometimes allowing close to a full clear against Druid, which is a matchup you have to strongly be ready for in the Gold Team Championship. Liquid may be the only team, I think, not to have brought that this week. And in general, they've steered away from it, and other teams have played it, I think. So now we get to the point where players really will want to empty this hand out. I feel like it's a decent turn for Netherwing and a Rain. Just get rid of this stuff, but personally, I think this is underrating the Abyssal. I feel like Bunnyhoppor, because he has a Moag on board, will always deal with this. I mean, he'll always deal with it anyway, but I think he'll deal with it with the smallest of issues. As we can see, he's actually just probably going to be able to blow it up. Directly. What's the cheapest way he can do things, though? Like, he wants to be able to use the hero power every single turn. Because the Caladan might not be the best way to do this, even though it looks instinctively correct. Because every time you press that hero power button now, you're gaining some mana. I was going to put a number on it, but it's not the best thing to do. But you're gaining mana. And not only are you gaining mana, but you're banking mana, which is also a big deal. Yep, so Bunny is not getting what he wants, so just plays it out. Now we're going to get the hand management game, which is the most interesting part of this mirror, I think. Seeing how the players manipulate hand size. And we've seen people doing it very, very well. Almost identical turn to Bunnyhoppor's. Does he play 1 card or does he play 2? I think it's a good turn to play 2 cards. Well, it depends if he wants to keep this Moarg. I think otherwise you can just play the 2 right-hand cards. Makes your next turn so much easier. Means the next turn you can tap and play Celedan, for instance, and not have to worry about hand size. Yep. Clearing the way for bigger and better things to come. Which is something that Bunnyhoppor needs to do. He needs to have a good old clear out this turn as well. Moarg, Rain, tap, questing. There'll be double from the Moargs on the board. We'd clear everything up. Get the questing out and get a tap in there. Time to make some space for the future of your hand. Still only halfway through their decks. It's actually been quite slow going. I just want to remind people as well, I don't think I got it in there at the start, but if Suning lose today, 4 and 10, there'll only be 4 matches to go. That'll bring them to 8 and 10. 8 and 10 will probably sneak into the playoffs because the top 6 of 8 teams get there. But that's assuming they win their last 4. If they lose today, they're getting close to being eliminated. They already are close to being eliminated, but dragging Liquid down into the mire with them will definitely help. And from Liquid's point of view, there's 2 teams, VK and LP, both on 6 and 8. If they lost, they would join them. If they win, they end up getting a whole game above those 2 teams, and that's a nice little buffer to have. So games are feeling more and more important. Obviously that's not how numbers work. All the games are equally important, but we're now starting to see the effects of each match matter more and more. Not the worst twisting there that you'll ever see, but also not the best because you don't get to draw a card. So he's going to spend the turn looking for other outs here. Absolutely sucks to not press that hero power button. I'm going to just keep stating that. How often can he realistically do it? Obviously he can kill the 8/8 with Celedan. I wonder if he wants to plot twist here. He's got nearly every expensive card in his hand. There is danger if he does that of it all just going horribly wrong. But now he's missed a hero power. And that doesn't sound that important. And it might not be, because maybe he's plot twisting next turn actually. Brox is assembling win conditions here. And now it's about time, with 10 cards each left in the players' decks, to start thinking about magic numbers. And the first number you want to be on is at least 19, because 2 9s are 18, and that's a typical Malygos either breath or soulfire finish. And then you work from there. You want to add 6 to that sometimes because of rain, so 25 is another safe haven number. And both players will be playing with those numbers in mind from this point on. I mean, they will have been all game, but particularly from this point onwards now, combo kills are imminent. See the Bunnyhoppor next turn, for instance, sorry, on turn 10 for instance, already has 18 available. Yeah, Brox continuing the process of just clearing out his hand. Zephyr's not active. I say that almost surprised, because with only 9 cards left in a plot twist deck, sometimes it can definitely be active. Sometimes it's active with like 17 cards, just the way that plot twist helps you to remove duplicates from your deck. You play a card and you plot twist, the duplicate's gone, etc. You see more cards, so you play more of them out. Bunny does have lethal next turn, right? No, he doesn't. Not yet. That's the wrong rain. Dark skies, looking like rain, but actually it's just dark. But getting close. Does have that 18 available. And some big stuff on the board. On the other side, Brox has all the damage and it's just a tap into Malygos away from winning the game. It's not Malygos and it's not yellow, but it's still tempting to throw down. As a 0 mana 8/8, just to give Bunnyhoppor something to worry about. You're giving it so much value, but do you think it ever gets the value? Like, is it playing an 8/8 now one of the best things you can do? 7 cards left, so 2 shots at drawing Malygos every turn, which will win him the game. Well, actually, yeah, to be absolutely clear, the main draw wouldn't win him the game, but it would be pretty close.
Whoa, legendary!
Oof. Again, dumping cards, making space to do other things. And also putting Bunny to 25, which should make no difference. But we'll see. How much damage does he have without Malygos here? Am I missing just an obvious thing? Hellfire's 3. There's 3 4s, that's 12, so that's 15, plus 20 is 16. Without Malygos. I think he's played his Thalnos, so wouldn't quite be enough anyway. So he does still need the Mally. But yeah, playing this 8/8 has, you can see the effects of it here. It's cost Bunnyhoppor mana. It's not that the 8/8 is going to connect, but now Bunnyhoppor's operating the turn on 2 mana instead of 8. So you can see the trade-off there. Every turn, both players are trying to just draw the winning game, winning card, winning hand, whatever. And Brox managed to get it passed back. Whew. Everything's so close. So 1 in 6 chance to tap into Mally. Is there anything better? Well, if you miss that, you lose sometimes. 21, not a great health place to be, so he doesn't want a Hellfire. A non-active Zephyrus isn't what he wanted. Doesn't really want to plot twist at this point either. Probably have to Nether. And then again, got to consider whether he wants to play Zephyrus down like Bunnyhoppor did last game. But that doesn't seem as good now because he's so close to activating it. Maybe he'll spend the 2 mana. This is really difficult. Right, he had no use for this turn as a whole, so took the opportunity to just spend some of the high mana cards. And suddenly Bunnyhoppor's hand glows yellow. Note that Brox, in another world, would have Hellfired last turn. But that would have put him down to 18. Hellfire was the nice, clean, obvious solution. But they're playing around these magic numbers, and 18 being one, and correctly so. You can see that Bunnyhoppor would have Malygos, Nether Breath and Soulfire for 18 available if Brox had played the Hellfire. That's why being sharp watching this game is pretty important. Constantly counting damage, constantly counting your opponent's damage, which sounds impossible when you first see this matchup, but the more you see of it, the more you get a feel for it, especially when you've got nearly complete information. You don't know what the naught mana cards are. You just know they exist and they're bad. So, Bunnyhoppor making his move. Puts Brox below 18. And just puts a load of stuff on the board as well. And that kind of says to Brox, you need to win this turn. Does Brox oblige? I don't think he does. Let me work this out now. With the mana we can see, Brox can only do 18. Can he heal? He can do so many good things, but I don't know if any of them actually get anywhere. Maybe he's in real trouble here. He's going to have to tap. He does still have Twisting Nether available as a bailout if he taps. He's going to playing the Malygos. What would he do with the Malygos? Should he play it? He'd Nether for a lot. Gain health. And he'd have a Malygos on the board. Why? He taps into the 4 health, which once again puts him above 18. So now can Bunnyhoppor? He just can't do it. When he taps, he's going to go down to 8 mana, which means the Malygos won't be active this turn. And now it's Bunny's job to try and stay above 18, but we can see... Yeah, I guess 18 is still safe for Bunny. Remember, all the time you're watching this and me describing what they're playing around and so on, we can see both hands. These players don't have that luxury. So if Bunnyhoppor goes for the Alex here and doesn't get a taunt or a removal or a heal, which is a reasonable number of dragons, not that reasonable, then Brox will just hit him in the face and Malygos him down. So does Bunny have another option? He can go for this, which I was looking at for Brox last term. I didn't like it, but where you can heal because Malygos and Nether Breath. That's what he goes for. But now he hasn't got a Malygos anymore. So, can Brox do the same play, but to Bunnyhoppor's Malygos? And then one player has a Malygos and one doesn't. We've seen both Caledons used. Brox can also kill it in other ways without using his Malygos. When then he can Zephyrus to heal up. Healing up not that important when both players have regular Alexstrasza in hand, obviously going to 15. How can Bunnyhoppor remove a 4/12? We've just seen it. This is superb. We have just seen he gets Moonfire. I'm sorry for missing this. He goes to get Moonfire. He wasn't sure it was going to be offered. That was his problem there. And obviously he had to tiptoe around a Soulfire. I don't know if that was right. I was just so set on watching Brox remove the Malygos because that looked like lethal. Because his own Malygos was never going to die. And he knew that because of how Bunnyhoppor set up. Maybe he didn't feel he could heal for enough not to die to regular stuff. Or maybe he saw the lethal straight away and like I got tunnel vision into one thing. Maybe he tunneled into that lethal. And also, you saw the relief when the Moonfire was offered. We've seen Zephyrus misbehave at times. Players often forgetting which card text it reads and which it doesn't. But I knew it read Malygos text, so I shouldn't have missed that lethal setup. And Brox thought he did, but you're never sure. If you're doing that for your team with a lot on the line, especially with Brox being... With respect to Jing, honestly, I think Brox being the star performer of Suning this particular year, Jing obviously the bigger name. A lot on the line there for Brox. He got it done. Goes to one apiece, and in last hero standing, if you win a mirror match, you are often in a fantastic position to win the whole match. Nice work for Brox. Right, now the Rogue match. Rogue going to try and present many boards in a row. And the Warlock's going to try and remove them. And the difference here is there's no healing. So when the damage is done, the damage is done. It's been the Rogue issue for forever. They used to play like Earthen Ring Farseers and stuff just to try and have some healing way back in the day. But Rogue commits to putting on so much pressure these days that it hopes it doesn't get hit and then it doesn't need to heal. Against a combo deck, we'll see how that works out. So Bunnyhoppor will be thinking about the next turn because there's no clear combo available to him now. And even though his turn is obvious, he'll be concerned about next turn a little bit. Brox facing early damage, as is Rogue's plan. So Brox has to manage not dying with getting that hand size up. How much dare he risk? That's the question. What he wants to do is press the hero power button and sort out this mess next turn. Next turn he'll have Dark Skies available to him to clear up basically any board. And then he'll have Mortal Coil to pick off the Reborn. That seems like the sensible choice. But I have seen games from even incredibly good players where by not taking their time they've misevaluated just how much damage is coming in, and that can go wrong in a hurry. But this one looks good to me. Bunnyhoppor not having the best of this hand. Excuse me just a moment, I'm going to take a sip of drink, so I'll be back in just 30 seconds. Thank you for waiting, appreciate that. As we see Bunnyhoppor deciding that it was important to get on with things. This isn't so much about this turn, this is about having things to do in future. This solves a lot of problems for him. It allows him to, for instance, combo the other one next turn. It also gives him Edwin options next turn. Be nice to get a medium-sized Edwin on the board after a Dark Skies and before Caladan. Might be an optimal time to get some damage down, or we might just save it forever and try and get a monster Edwin late in the game. But what is important here, and you can see Bunnyhoppor's focus, is damage. This doesn't prevent anything removal wise, this just does 1 extra point of damage right here, right now. So Brox down to 19 instead of 20. And that's telling about the mindset here from Bunnyhoppor. There were lots of reasons that he could have kept the minion back, for instance making a 6/6 Edwin next turn. And this means that I think he's going to go a different route to that. Shield of Galakon's actually a nice shape for the Rogue. The 5 health is just aggravating for Warlock to deal with. So we'll see Bunnyhoppor slam this down here. Even in Bunnyhoppor land, this is a straightforward play onto the board. Gives him pretty hard to deal with minion. And that's because Warlocks tend to deal in 4s. It's not that they can't deal with the minion. That's not the argument I'm making here. The argument is that it might cost them 2 cards. And the more time they spend, the more cards they spend dealing with this stuff, the more your next board might stick as the Rogue. Also worth bearing in mind, every time one of those damage spells is used on a minion, it's not being used on your face. Which means that the Warlock may have to go deeper into the game to get all the bits and pieces it needs. Considering a plot twist here, and to consider that, you've got to work out how much health you think you'll gain on average. I think you probably gain 4 on average here, give or take. Get a new hand. Are there any spells you want to play, any cards you want to play before plot twisting? If so, get them done now. And actually, he's just comfortable to take the big health gain right now. It's 8. Clears the board, and the full 8 is gained, which is really convenient when there's no Alex Strage in the opposing deck. Obviously, the 8 gained will stick. Downside of such a play is when you're going to plot twist, it's going to cost you 2 cards, but cards aren't an issue. Now he's gained the health back, he can just tap next turn and continue his merry plot twisting ways. Look forward to see how big this Edwin ends up being from Bunnyhoppor. He's chosen to take it pretty slow. It means it might get very difficult to play it at all. Just because he's going to not want it to get Caladan or Twisting Nethered. So I'm looking to see the timing of the Edwin. When he decides the time is right. Because he's not just going to try and make it as big as possible, he's just going to try and make it a decent size, probably 10-10 or maybe 8-8, and make sure it connects at least once. Do you want to use any of your good things here? Trouble with playing against Rogue in particular is it's very hard to assign your removal. So Dark Skies is always going to be useful. So against Demon Hunter, for instance, if your opponent makes an early board on turn 3 or 4 and they've used up a lot of their cards to do so, you Dark Skies away their board and the Demon Hunter has nothing left and they're waiting for a skull to refill their hand. Against Rogue, if you Dark Skies that same board, they just replace it the next turn. And the upshot of that is you have to be very, very careful with your removal and very, very greedy with your removal against Rogue. As you see here, Brox once again just juggling damage with board control, with removal. Not panicking that the Rogue has some things on the board, trying to convince Bunnyhoppor to overcommit slightly, and also not scared to use his own minions as removal, as I like to say. You know, if these minions trade into other minions, then that's a removal spell you didn't have to use. Bunnyhoppor's job is, of course, the opposite, is to put just over Brox's comfort limit on the board, so Brox has to respond and remove a board. And where those two meet is where good Hearthstone happens. It's very tempting just to jam this dragon now. With the Death Rattle element, starting off with something on your cards have good use earlier in the match before the Warlock can do multiple things in a turn. And here comes the Edwin though. Bunny has decided that now's the time. It's out of a big Dark Skies range. That's a very important thing to worry about. And if it does get Celedan, which it's going to, he would expect to have something on the board next turn. It's also going to stop Brox from being able to hero power. I mean, he can coin and do it, yes, I've seen that, but the Edwin's not going to hit face, I think we can determine, but it has done some work in the fact that Brox is having to play a turn he doesn't want to now. Even forcing that coin out that... Oh, hang on though. Forcing out the coin to get cards for Bunny is what I was talking about. This 0 mana Nether will be so useful later in the game for me. I think I want to Celedan now. Let Bunnyhoppor have the 4 damage. Who cares about 4? Take the minor loss. Because at some point the ability to Twisting Nether and then play an Abyssal is such a big deal. Bunny does get a Seal Fate out of this. His Galakon's getting close to being fully invoked. And that could provide him with another monster turn. He needs to have monster turn after monster turn. We've seen how this is going. We can see the hand, the Twisting Nether, and the Netherwing waiting to clear extra boards. Bunnyhoppor knows at least some of that's available. He won't know the extent to his problems, but he'll know he's got to keep making board after board here. As always with Bunny, in no panic to do anything. Challenging Brox to clear up this board. Remember, he will get to 3 for Galakon soon, and that will allow him to have another swing turn. Brox can deal with this, but it's not pretty. It's not what he wanted his 0 mana Nether to do, put it that way. I think he'll be very reluctant to part with that card. We might see him find other methods of doing this. We're going to see the Thalnos and the twist and the Nether Breath, maybe, which is another part of damage to face that has gone. But in some worlds, he just plays a Dragon Queen Alexstrasza in about 5 turns' time and just slaps Bunny about. So losing the damage isn't that desperate for face. It's just removal he hasn't got anymore. He won't want to Netherwing. That's just too important. Really? Alright. He does want to. He thinks he challenges the board. But my issue with this is that Bunnyhoppor's just going to have hordes of 1/1s for all of eternity in this game. And using your Netherwings means that Bunnyhoppor has license to do that. Like Bunny's going to get the fully evoked Galakon. Big deal, of course, because then he gets the weapon. We always think of the 4 cards because that's the usual victory condition for 0 mana cards. Turns out to be pretty good. But it is important to get that weapon. It's just so much damage in one go that the Warlock has to heal up. Bunny's still on 24. Pretty happy with this. Maybe that's something else Brox was thinking with the Nether. Like maybe he wanted to start actually trying to get some damage done and felt that he wouldn't get many other chances. But twisting Nether and then play a thing is a pretty good way to get damage done. And I think it might be time for the Nether. Twisting Nether tap, see where you're at. Still... yeah, Bunnyhoppor the master of just making things really irritating. If he plays another wing, Brox is nearly dead. He takes 3 from it, and then there's 7 on board, and he hasn't achieved much. What else can he do? And if he wants to tap, he's got to play something first. That's what's making this awkward. This is what I was talking about earlier. I was talking about going down to 8 cards. Being on 10 or 9 means you draw a card to 10. Puts you in this spot. And he's got to be quick as well. I think we might just see him panic throughout a Netherwing here, although he doesn't tend to panic much. Oof, do something. Alright. And this is the turn he didn't want to play. 7 on board, down to 16. Is there a lethal here? Maybe? Yeah, using the Seal Fate. Play Galacrond. Get a weapon. It's not lethal, but... okay, this is a lot of stuff. This is surely too much for Brox to cope with. There's Kronks in hand as well. So Brox is going to have to do some healing next turn. He can do that. He has saved his Nether Breath. Oh, Bunny's still going. Playing incredibly fast. Team Liquid having a slightly slower connection than some of the other teams. So you see him make some... I know I just said that Bunnyhoppor's playing fast, but yeah, those are decisions that I think regular Bunnyhoppor would take a little bit more time on. Damage everywhere. Thought he hadn't got that one off then. I was sitting there thinking, well, I'm sure I said he would be on 4 health. But yeah, deal with this lot. Brox. It's a lot to work out. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to. I mean, he can obviously deal with it before anyone gets weird about things, but the problem is he's got to also not die to the weapon, and that makes it a lot harder. And that snipe has actually... like, sniping to Nether Breath was going to gain him 8 health. Come what may. And at least put him out of range of Kronks and weapon, even though there'd be other issues with lackeys and such like. But now he's struggling just not to be dead on board. We're going to see some horrible looking play here. I don't even know what it is, but there are plays that keep him alive, and they're going to be grim. Yep. Excuse me, having a choking fit. I'm good. So yeah, play that keeps him alive, but Kronks doesn't keep him alive. And Bunnyhoppor takes a 2-1 lead. And Brox is down to his rogue, so we're going to get a rogue mirror. And I hope Brox isn't getting too down. He's playing well. He's just up against the best players in the world. Really did like that lethal he found earlier. Again, I'm not 100% sure it was actually the right play. I feel that if he just plays the Malygos in there, he kind of always wins. Maybe there's a card left in Bunny's deck that I'd forgotten about. Right. Rapid tempo action. Always interesting to see what rogue players keep in their openers. How they see the game going, especially Bunny's opening hand here. Have a quick look at the deck list, see who has saps. There's far more important cards in the deck list than sap, but it's the one that matters the most in the mirror. Like when you're commentating. If you know there's no sap, you know they can go wide. No sap for Suning. Pretty sure we just saw all of Bunny's deck. Yeah, no sap for Bunny. So, really is a case of going as big as you can, as quick as you can. Setting up those Togs, setting up those Galacrons. And having stupid, crazy, powerful swing turns. And it always starts off so calm, the Rogue Mirror. And then before you know it, everything goes crazy. Some sort of emote there from Bunny. Not sure what. Maybe it was just the timing. That backstab tells Brox quite a bit, right? Mainly regarding Edwin's. Colossus not exactly the card he wanted from the cat either. So Brox has a turn or two of weirdness coming up here. Well, can't backstab his own cat now to play the miscreant. I guess that's a thing. Decisions already for Bunnyhoppor revolving around how to get this Togwaggle the earliest as possible. If he gets an early Togwaggle, it will be very, very hard for Brox to recover from. And so already Bunnyhoppor will be trying to work out the conditions for the super early Tog. How important that might be. So that's why using this coin is quite a big deal, as it eliminates that to some degree in the hopes of having a very big questing, and this just wins the game sometimes. It doesn't win the game here because of the Eviscerate, but there's not that many ways this gets killed. As it happens, if Eviscerate wasn't enough, backstab into Miscreant would have got it done a decent percentage of the time. Going to go for about half. Actually, can I work this out on the fly? It works 24 times out of 49. Just going for the 2 good lackeys, I think. Which is as near to half as you're going to get if I worked it out right. There's always some nuance to those. But anyway, Brox has done the obvious plays. Done it in the right order though to make sure that the secret was triggered. That's where, again, Brox just very tidy with all this stuff. Bunny with slight loss of tempo, but I think he'll be okay if you can see what Brox's hand was. I might see both players just having a bad turn or two here, which is kind of weird. I wouldn't want to be either player at the moment if I couldn't see the other one's hand. As it happens, looks like Bunnyhopper's going to be the one who's going to get going. Or not. That's always the thing with Rogue. Your top decks are cheap and efficient. There's lots of ways of triggering the Miscreant too, so... So it looks like a turn 7 Togwaggle for Bunnyhopper. But that's a long way off. Like, if he doesn't use this questing now, what does he do? This is not an easy turn. I want to see how Bunny resolves this. I don't think you can afford to let this board stick, because next turn Brox is going to have even more stuff coming at you and might be hard to ever get back into it. Can play... I mean... Oof. Like, Lackey, Edwin, Lackey. It makes the Edwin a 5-4, which trades, and you've got 2 lackeys on the board. And then they die and you don't have a Togwaggle option anymore. Doing the same thing with questing. Basically the same. Oh, you're gonna have to make the 4-4 Edwin. Yeah, this is just... Yeah, Bunny's face says my face right now. 4-4 Edwin, and there's worlds where if this Edwin gets blown up and not traded into, you just lose. Quite like... You have to do this, but Shadow Stepping your 4-1 Shield of Galacron doesn't look too terrible either later. Brox. Really getting in control here. I think he needs to think what Bunnyhopper's hand is. Like, that Edwin play is obviously horrific looking. And it might prevent him from wanting to even consider the Shadow Step option, to be fair. Because he doesn't want to trigger the secret. He knows that Bunnyhopper's got a load of rubbish. He may think that there's a Kronks or a Galacron. He'll probably guess there's a Tog. He knows that Bunnyhopper has lackeys that he declined to play to activate the Edwin. So I think he can... I couldn't. Like, this is hard, but I think he can deduce that there is a Togwaggle in hand from the reticence to play those lackeys to set up the Edwin. Does play the Shadow Step. That was my first instinct, but the more I looked at it, the more it became apparent, you know, that Bunnyhopper's in trouble and the cards might be super relevant to him. And even this turn... Yeah, I think giving Bunny the cards has worked out badly. He would have had the backstab, but he wouldn't have had the Kronks or the Praise Galacron. And the Praise Galacron's the big deal, because that's the one that's going to let Bunnyhopper go crazy with his other lackeys and basically clear the board, as well as having a nonsense-sized questing adventurer. On the upside, it does mean that Brox has a good Shield of Galacron available to him, so it's not totally wasted. Bit unlucky there for Bunnyhopper getting the Spitting Camel. So both Galacrons are level 2. Not quite as essential to get level 3 as it was in the last game, where Bunnyhopper wanted the weapon available. But you still want it. You still want the weapon, you want the 4 cards, you want the massive swing turn, but it is an option to take it early and get your swing turn that way. Brox can remove this questing if anyone's concerned. You can just give it Rush and +1 without Lucky, so you're good there. So Brox is more concerned about the rest of his turn than that. He can also take 8 and keep his 4-5 healthy. Okay, it's actually good to turn the Shadow Step into a lackey. But more importantly, the Shadow Step turns into a lackey that hits the jackpot with his Galakrond. So next turn, crazy things can happen. But talking of crazy things, Bunnyhoppor's got that turn 7 Togwaggle that looks so unlikely, or at least so punishing for so long. It looked like he may well just be in a lost position when he got it. But he's got it off. He's fine on board. And Brox is going to need a big turn to overcome it. But luckily for Brox, well, not luckily at all, he Shadow Stepped his Shield of Galakrond to promote the Galakrond to level 4. So Brox has put himself in a position where he can deal with a lot here. He may be able to... He wants to make space for the cards. So I think we might see him... I thought we might see him backstab, but he has got space without it. I've seen one too many overflows for one lifetime, I think. This is obviously correct. Huh. Well, not ideal for Brox, but also not ideal is fine here. Just trying to work out where he's going to put the 5, I think. This 2 always trades in. The 1 always goes face. And protecting his questing seems important, so that's what he does. And now it's Bunny's swing turn. What can he get from his wand? Oh my. I mean, it's still 3 Hearthstone cards for 0 mana, but not the best. Can he hit something that helps him? Not there, but he gets 2 more goes at it. Gets it now. It's not ideal. He's used a lot of resources this turn to not really get anywhere. Which obviously isn't what he would have preferred, but you know you're doing well as a rogue in the mirror when you start your turn basically level with your opponent, so you get to have your whole turn is just super tempo. I feel like I've seen like 30 miscreants this game. I'm sure it's only 4, but yeah. Gets you like that after a while. Brox will probably 1-for-1 trade some of these 1/1 minions just to make space for better things. I imagine the 3-1, the Spy Mistress, will either go face or do nothing at some point in this game. It could trade in now, but I don't like it. I guess if he's playing the face, he just needs a space. Let's see what he gets first. Keeps the weapon, which is important. Well, on the one side he's board locked now. On the other side, the questing's coming in for a lot of damage. And if Bunny does nothing to keep him board locked, then well, sure. Brox will happily hit you for 13 or something and move on with his life. Sure, he won't be too sad about that. Well, they're the lackeys he was looking for. Looking for... I don't know what he's looking for. Ways to remove all of this. Presumably plays the other one. Yeah, Bunny's struggling here. The sheer amount of stuff on the other side of the board is overwhelming now. There's a Colossus to come next turn. For both of them, but Brox will be first. So getting the wanted out of the way, but again, for the second time in a row, Brox is starting his turn ahead on board. Temptation is to just jam the Colossus, but Bunnyhoppor hasn't shown his Blackjack Stunner yet. Secret Blackjack Stunner plus 7 extra mana would be terminal for Brox should he play the Colossus and walk into that. And so he's not doing that, much as he would like to. Isn't pushing much damage. This is one of the problems when you're constantly trying to trade away your opponent's stuff. His damage comes very slowly. But surely as well. How Bunny gets his level 3 Galakond. Blows into his hands as if he's cold in the burning Norway sun. But he's just offering up a silent prayer to the Hearthstone gods. I don't think I've ever seen him do that, by the way. Just to be clear here. Well, at least he's managed to put stuff out there this time. But this is his big turn. He just can't draw Secret. It's not like he's dead anytime soon. Kronks will clear up a lot of stuff. On both sides, I guess, but Bunny's the one with it in his hand. As I said it though, I suddenly realised that actually, should Brox get Kronks, which I don't want to say too many times ever in my career because I'm going to get it wrong a lot, that would actually be pretty good for him because of the Death Rattle minions available. Don't know if Bunny changed his mind on that attack or if he just didn't get it off. It didn't seem particularly important. Brox just playing this constant value game. Waxadred's quite nice, but does he want the 7/7 instead? How deep does he think this game goes? And how does he lose? Like, Isira's tempting as well. Bunny's down to 7 cards. Value everywhere. Brox is just ahead turn after turn after turn. Does Bunny ever actually kill him? The more I look at this, the more I want Isira. Means there's no wasted mana. You can hero power and play 7/7 as well. And you get an instant Isira card, which is just good. Brox is going for the long game protection. Waxadreds can get incredibly annoying. Managing his board space once again, and once again does hardly any damage, but once again finishes the turn with... He does no damage, but finishes the turn with a full board. And now he's got round the Galakond turn and the Tog turn. But now Bunnyhoppor's Kronks, I was going to do that, does look pretty tasty. Like, not the tastiest. There's 3 decent Death Rattles here. But only one actually makes a minion. That's that lot cleared up. I think he has to eat it for turn. No, he's just going to go straight back out there. Okay. Finding a window of opportunity to try and become the aggressor. Making the 8/8. Brox looks for removal. Bunny taking the opportunity to get a bit of drink. It's been a long one again. Don't know how he does it. But we're nowhere near the 3 hours of gameplay. I think we're about an hour and a half in. Imagine the game against XHX was twice as long as this. Really was a classic match. And especially the way it went down as well. But looking at this, got to keep an eye on this board. Brox gets the lackey he's looking for. Remember, he took Waxadread a turn or two ago, and I was saying I'd like an Asira. Well, it's hard to say how that would have panned out. We don't know what we'd have got from the Asira, but the Waxadread is looking like a super choice right now. Note his ordering there. Paid off. When you play the Faces, you've got a choice between playing around Doomsayer and playing around Mana Wraith. And he realised that playing around Doomsayer, which is the instinctive one, most people play it first to find out what they get. That's the instinctive play. But he played around Mana Wraith, and it mattered. If he played it first, he wouldn't have been able to play Waxadread and the other lackey. He'd have been a mana short. So ordering there for Brox, really important. It just goes back to what I've been harping on about all through this match, about how Brox is really organised with his play. His cleanliness of his turns is really rather nice. Bunnyhoppor going to clear this time? Don't think he wants an 8-8. Yep. How low Bunny is on cards. Presumably at least one of them is a secret, the way he's been holding on to all this stuff. But he's going to have to get it done with that Colossus somehow, most likely. Most of his big stuff having gone. Or get it done with the board he has right now, I guess. Brox finally getting something out of the stealth in his deck, taking him all game to get there. Now, is he dead? If he's not, he plays his Edwin and he wins. And this time the ordering's different, because yes, the Mana Wraith might come up, but he wants the extra 2/2 for the Edwin, so that's fine, because it's very unlikely to get either Mana Wraith or Doomsayer. Bunnyhoppor picking up a good answer. But he's facing down lethal damage in all directions. And this Waxadread, the patient pick, is paying off. Bunnyhoppor able to do so much damage right now, but it's not enough. If he got a secret there, he'd be able to bounce the two big things and come in for a chunk. Maybe that would have been a thing. Maybe not. As it is though, he's back to... Wow, he's got 16 damage available. But yeah, as it is, he's back to fiddling around trying to clear boards, like he has been for most of this game. Now in very real danger of just dying. Run completely out of threats apart from this Colossus, which both players haven't got around to playing. Is this it? Nope. I believe it's not it. But it's good. So you give +2/+2, he can... He just waits. Like, just Vendetta down the 4/4. Play a couple more minions, maybe even another lackey, and then next turn you can conk +2/+2 and come in for a bajillion damage. Just checking out his Vendetta. It is Vendetta. Good. I'm actually just getting a +2/+2 now. Forcing the damage through, setting up lethal this way. Telling Bunnyhoppor you can't do it. Well, Bunnyhoppor finally gets the secret he's been looking for forever. Now he's going to need Ice Barrier. He's going to need... yeah, some other good things. Explosive Trap's not enough, but it's better than nothing. So, Explosive Trap plus an Ice Barrier might keep him alive. Flame Ward plus an Explosive Trap is 5 to everything. Guess you take that? Not sure how Bunnyhoppor ever wins, but seems okay. Oh, he's got a different plan. I think the plan involves, well, not being alive for much longer. See how Brox goes around these. See if there's any lethal here. Kronks is 5 if he wants it. Oh, you can just buff with Kronks if he thinks explosives. Yeah, so Bunny's just made this as complicated as possible. With perfect information, you just win the game. Really hard if you haven't got perfect information though, and I feel like I haven't, even though I can see them. Brox working through the endless possibilities here. Decides that Explosive Trap exists, otherwise he wouldn't have done that. But if he knew for sure, he could have buffed. Perhaps he does know for sure. Perhaps he's worked this out. Well, that'll do it. Don't think Bunny has a proper solution. He's still got the Colossus. I'm trying to work out if that will ever help, but I don't think it does. It's neither player ever getting it down. It's been quite funny to watch them struggle. That doesn't sound very nice of me, but looks like Brox, who's been on the aggressive side of this for most of the game. Ever since Bunnyhoppor really struggled with his Questings and his Edwin at the start. And then Brox got a very early Galacon. Remember, he chose to Shadow Step a Shield of Galacon to get this good Galacon and really kept the tempo going for all of these turns after that, with maybe one or two slightly weird moments. And that has led to him getting here. It's not over yet. I've been talking as if that's over. He can take damage, and Kronks can do 5. But this is now lethal. I can see this one. 3 + 2 + 4. Nicely worked for Brox. He, once again, pretty pleased with himself. Straight to the water, like most winning players do. And it's 2-2. One more game to go. It's going to be Brox still on that rogue. And Bunnyhoppor on something else. Oh yeah, the warrior. Which, you know, right near the start I was saying that the warrior could be the big deal for this match. And it sure is. Rogue does struggle against the warrior. I think this version can do better if it can stick a board. It's very hard to stick a board because the Risky Skipper clears it up. But drawing lots of cards and doing it all again sometimes gives the Rogue the chance. The downside is, unless it gets a Galacon into a huge minion, it's very hard to get something the Warrior can't remove. The majority of cases, and that's why the Warrior is a decent sized favourite. Bunnyhoppor actually keeping some curve here and is rewarded very much with the Inner Rage. Means the egg's going to have things it can do. Oh, Brox has pretty good hand here. But again, Spy Mister is not quite as good as you'd like it to be against Warrior. It's still a good card, but you can't just leave it there the whole game without trading it into something because it gets blown up as collateral damage by Risky Skippers. Armor Smith's always interesting early against Rogue. You tend not to because it's much better later on, but it does challenge most Rogue minions to do something and is quite good with an Inner Rage on it, but obviously with that Spy Mistress down there, it sort of blows that theory out of the water. So just play an egg. And the intention to do quite a lot next turn. Where things go crazy. Oh, Bunnyhoppor was just going to have a nice simple anchor Inner Rage turn. Now he's got the opportunity to Inner Rage, Rampage, and if you do that you probably play the 1/1 as well just to have a wide board. It's not quite as good as it looks, but it's alright. Still available to him next turn, of course. If you choose to just weapon now. It's a tough call. Both lines look good. So if you weapon now, your mana works out better next turn for the Rampage Armorsmith. But it's done a lot less damage. So he's making the play he's always making. And yeah, he's going to drop the 1/1. He's gone for the all-in. It's not all-in because he can still anchor into Risky Skipper, but it's the very early aggro setup. And this is going to make life pretty tricky for Brox. But he has got that Eviscerate. He's got to prioritise. How quickly does he want to get rid of this? Very quickly at 5 a turn is the answer. But he can't get rid of the Serpent as well. Not readily, at least. With that in mind, maybe he would want to wait one more turn, pick up the bits and pieces on board, take a lot more damage, but next turn have a much more functioning game plan. If you're going to do it, we'll see him put the Skyvateer into the 5/5 first. And then we'll likely see Cat Eviscerate. And I just noticed he's got a gold cat and a non-gold cat. People tend not to do that in tournaments because you can tell in extreme circumstances which cat's which. Doesn't really matter these days, but it's an unusual sight to see. And picking up the 1/1 with his weapon. Sorry, the 3/1 obviously. But the damage was chunky. The coin's being used. And Brox has got it to do, but his next turn should be okay. Cats and Skyvateers look pretty good. Bunnyhoppor's board is unlikely to improve much. So this turn's okay. But Bunny is chipping away. And the problem being that with the damage sticking as described earlier, at some point it will just come down to Grom in a rage, or even Risky Skipper Grom. Because Brox is so low and his threats take so long to get set up. Right, Bunnyhoppor will clear the first board. He may clear the second board, and Brox hasn't even got the first board built yet. And all the time, his health is just ticking slowly towards 0, making this incredibly difficult to win. And Bunny's decision to get that damage in with the egg rather than go for the weapon first, forcing Brox to use the coin, slowing him down, looks, at first glance at least, to be starting to pay off. But now he's got a turn or two where it's a bit less easy. Pretty menacing looking Terron available to him. In a world with no saps. It's one of the reasons you check for sap, because it limits so many options. But this looks beautiful with no sap in it. Even with a sap, maybe you take the chance, but with no sap. Next turn, if this isn't dealt with, Bunnyhoppor will be able to copy it, and if it is dealt with, he'll have some big things on the board. And because of the health discrepancy, he's not scared of Brox like ignoring it and just starting to push massive damage to face. So, a big problem here for Brox to deal with. Because even the 3 is so much damage right now, and next turn, that's getting copied. Okay, well, Brox not killing it off. And now we're going to see some shenanigans. Bunny's got to plan it properly, of course, but I'm looking at just risky skippering, armor smith, mercenaries on the Terron, trade the first Terron in, and have a massive board. Obviously, Bunnyhoppor doesn't have the luxury of just spitting it out like I just did and saying that'll do. He's got to look for the best available play. I'm trying to do the same, but I also have to talk about it and keep my wits about me, such as they are. Reminder how much this is important for Liquid in particular. Gets them right back into the safety zone in the playoffs, with a chance to push maybe for those top 2, whereas Suning are in just gigantic trouble if they lose this, and they're still in a bit of trouble if they win it, to be fair. What did we end up with? Ended up saving the skipper. And ended up not procking the Terron as well. And Bunny's not happy with the play. It doesn't look right, does it? And if you wanted to trade into Sage, you could do that as well. Okay, you're only copying a 3-1, but it's a 3-1 Terron that's got a load of stuff in it. Do you really mind? That all being said, what do you do if you're Brox here? It's all very well me saying that, yeah, this isn't the perfect play, but what on earth do you do here? I feel like conceding is an option. It's not, it's never an option. There's got to be ways to hang in there. There's Galacron coming up, which has got 0 invokes on it, by the way. There's 2 of a kind on the board and you can't even flick them. That's how grim this situation is for Brox. So Bunnyhoppor facing down 10 would have 15 health remaining. That's pretty safe sounding. How much can he put to face? 6 on the board. 8, 9, 10 plus a lackey. Super tempting. Don't think it's quite good enough though. Galacon getting back 5 armour would put Brox back to 10. And he has enough stuff to trade around with that he could probably stay safe. So Bunnyhoppor can't get away with just going completely insane here. Buffing up one of these turns and trading into the minion may be just very tempting here. Having the wide board against the rogue's always been good, that's why Druid tends to do pretty well. Right, see what he's decided on. Decided on All Face and telling Brox to deal with it. I don't think he can. I mean, yeah, you draw a card. Good luck. It's got to be a good card. I mean, that's a good card. Okay, it's a Hearthstone card that he has drawn. It's a massacre. Bunnyhoppor going to draw how many cards? Just the 5 from this Battle Rage. I think he's trying to work out if he can get more from the Terrons. Oh my. This is the Bunnyhoppor. So I see I can draw 5 cards and my brain stops considering what to do. Bunnyhoppor, on the other hand, sees that he can draw 5 cards and decides that's not enough cards. He wants to draw 7 cards. And Brox is like, 5 would have done, man. Behave. And of course, Bunnyhoppor gained like 6,000 armour more than I would have as well. And the output from those 7 cards is just absolutely ridiculous. But apart from all that, you know, Brox on 4. Bunnyhoppor's on 33. Bunnyhoppor has a loaded up Terron and 4 other minions. Brox has 8 mana and an orange chair. I think Team Liquid are going to take this one down. Just a hunch that I've got. Call me like a prophet or something. Looking at Bunnyhoppor as well. Just in the world where Brox clears, or I'm not even looking at Brox's hand. What's the point? Apart from the fact it's my job. In the world where Brox clears the board, gains some health, and somehow retaliates, Bunnyhoppor just hits him for 12 with Grom. I think it's safe to say that Brox is looking for a miracle from this tap. Doesn't exist in your deck, right? As the time just ticks past, it's Brox o'clock. I don't think he's even going to get time to kill the things that come from Terron here. In fact, he makes the 8-8. Well, that doesn't do it. I can win this game of Hearthstone, Brox. Come on. And Brox, like, got roped there, decided to go for something that he saw last second. He knew it wasn't going to work. Bunnyhoppor wins this. Liquid go to 7-7. Another marathon Bunnyhoppor match. But he takes it down this time, 3 games to 2.